So we're here today to discuss education policy in America, and we've brought together this group of experts. So forgive me if I begin talking about politics and not education policy. So politically speaking, as recently as, say, a year ago, this debate was over. As Jerry mentioned, we didn't even have a debate. The progressive movement, capitalizing on the 2008 financial crisis, had fulfilled an almost two-century-old ambition, nationalizing K-12 education. They not only had the billionaires, they had elite opinion. They not only had the media, they had the Democratic Party and the Obama administration. They also had a number of Republican leaders, such as Jeb Bush. And they not only had support of scholars on the left, they had support of scholars on the right. Most importantly, they had a sign-off from 48 states. So in the crisis, in the financial crisis, states had really ceded their own authority over their K-12 education policy in exchange for funding. In some, and to use the words of the progressive movement itself, they were transforming the instruction of every child without a public debate. The one constituency they didn't have was the American people. The most grassroots support they had was the National Governors Association, and that came in conjunction with a particularly large donation. And I think they were wise to avoid the American people in this debate, because the American people are not eager to federalize or nationalize K-12 education policy. And were it not for a few people in this room, so Heather and Aaron and Jane, Emmett, amongst others, and I know many of you here have led this, I don't think we would have been able to push this back. And the American people would not have had an opportunity to debate K-12 education policy. But happily, this debate is occurring, and not just here, but elsewhere, and in state capitals, and in think tanks, and in the media. And happily, we are winning. Now, for the first time, I think we can see a clear pathway to political victory. But you all are all not assembled here at Notre Dame to kind of bask in this pending political victory. I think maybe we could have done that in a state capital or in D.C. We've really come here together today, not just to criticize the Common Core, but also to provide a positive alternative. This conference is as much about what we are for as what we are against. And to propose this alternative, I think we must start with the most fundamental of questions. For what purpose do we educate our children? And the progressives, to their credit, have a very clear answer. With the best in intentions, and perhaps also working with the conceit that they know best, they made clear that the purpose of education is first and foremost to training a workforce, for workforce development. We need to make America competitive for the 21st century. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that from elite Republican, whoever they are, self-appointed people. We need to compete with the Koreans and the Germans. And if we don't catch up, we'll be left behind. I can see the Exxon Mobil ad right now in the background. You can just imagine exactly what we need to do. And by no means is this any kind of evil vision. But most assuredly, it is a vision that treats our children as raw material in some kind of national economic or industrial policy. And in fairness, when we push the progressives and we say, well, that can't be all education is for, they'll provide a more lofty vision. They'll extol education as this great balance wheel in the social machinery, stitching together a diverse America, or even higher still, preparing our children to be fully formed citizens capable of self-government. And with the right elite in charge, perhaps we can even imagine our schools taking on any kind of social evil that we may face in America. So there is a larger vision. But the problem with their vision, even the high-minded, is both practical and philosophical. So in practice, both the efficient and high-minded goals that they espouse lose their luster. Higher standards, as we've seen, actually mean demonstrably lower standards in states such as Indiana. And governments left to train their citizens, in practice, are more likely to train subjects than citizens. But philosophically, their vision also fails. The fundamental problem with all of these progressive goals is they put institutions ahead of people. If we truly want to put children first, we must empower the people who see the child as a person, right? A person created in the image and likeness of God, and that person is their parents. Their parents will always put the children first ahead of institutions. And I think we've seen this, we've all experienced this personally, right? The lengths to which parents will go to educate their children, whether it's these lotteries or vouchers or moving residency, or the lengths to which they will go for their children's education is absolutely inspirational. And they do all this not merely because they want their kids to become functionaries in our economy or boost U.S. GDP. They want what's best for their kids. Sure, they want their kids to acquire technical skills, to read, to write. They want a foundation in science and reasoning so they can pursue a variety of careers. But parents also see education as a preparation for life, not just a job. And parents will insist on their children being taught the truth, not just a politicized curriculum. And religious or not, they'll recognize that this truth is a preparation for their child's calling in life and reaching their full human potential. Importantly, this vision of the human person is the same vision that our founding fathers had when they created this republic, based in our God-given human dignity. Right? We were all created equal. And it's important that we sync up the origins of America, the higher goals of America, the human dignity embedded in our founding documents with our education policy. And happily, while not shared by the elite, as we see in this case, this is a truth still obvious to the American people. And so if we continue to bring this debate out of the shadows into the public, we'll be able to preserve the power of parents and local institutions to educate our children. And I think that this is extremely important, and I think that we're almost there. So I thank you all for coming here today. There's people much more expert than I am in terms of education policy to talk through the details of this, and thank you.